Good morning. Welcome back to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. We're talking 18 scary retirement statistics, and one of those has to do with the the concern about outliving your money in retirement. All right. Then we talked about the survey showing that majority of Americans feel that is a big concern for them is running out of money in retirement. 43% feel managing their finances has got more complex over the past 5 years, and it has. There are more and more regulations that deal with this. The Department of Labor came out with a new fiduciary regulation. We're going to see how that flies. It was passed. Is it going to, are they going to take the teeth out of it? Who knows? As a registered investment advisor, I am a fiduciary. What that means simply is that as a fiduciary, you have to put the interests of your clients ahead of all other interests, including your own, and that's the legal standard to which fiduciaries or registered investment advisors at least are held. And that compares to, say, a suitability standard that most other advisors you may have would be held to, which is a much lower standard. All right, and it's not to say people aren't, your advisors aren't going to try to do the best they can. It's just the rules and the regulations in which they work within, and the fact that if many of them are working for a company that's going to be saying, here's what you show these people, that's what they do is their, first loyalty, if you will, is of course to the company they work for. Second comes the client. So they're trying to do the best they can, but there may be some ways that's more difficult. The other is, is your advisor excited about what they do? Do they enjoy it? Okay, this is a big part of it. I mean, I love what I do. I love going to work every day. I enjoy working with the people that I get to work with. I'm very fortunate in this way, and this is one of the reasons for me. I hope I never, for other than health. I mean, I'm wanting to keep going as long as I can, right? Because I enjoy it, because I look forward to it. And one of the reasons it's helping people, but it's also the problem solving and the things there. Every day is new. There's a lot of exciting things going on all the time. There's always changes going on with regard to tax code, with regard to new things coming available to us in the investment world. There's lots of innovations that are happening, and staying up with that is very exciting. I love to learn, and the research here is very exciting to see some of the things that are available to us today compared to 10, 20 years ago. All right, now, nearly half of back to this study, half of the people said that between 1 and 5, they spend between 1 and 5 hours researching methods to keep up to date with their overall financial picture. 1 to 5 hours per year. Now, the problem is a lot of them, and this is the other part, they just didn't know how. They're not really understanding how basically to make sense of everything in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. So in that situation, only 1 in 4 felt optimistic about their financial future. All right. So one of the areas that it comes into with planning, when you're sitting down, you're crunching your numbers, you're trying to figure out, do you know what the needed rate of return on your investments? It will help you then in determining how to invest. Asset allocation is the biggest determination of what type of return you're going to get on your portfolio. It's not about stock picking. It's not about market timing. It's not about chasing the hottest, latest mutual fund or anything, or stock for that matter. Okay, it's very important that you watch your costs, of course, as well. These are the things you do. It's asset allocation and keeping your costs minimal. And we do that through a passive management strategy where we're going to have a very diverse portfolio. All right, and we're going to utilize it now. How do you determine what that asset allocation is, and what does that really mean? It has to do with how much you have in stocks and how much you have in bonds, and it also has to do with the makeup of those stocks as well as the makeup of those bonds. So when these principles of asset allocation, when you know what these are, and I've talked to you about these before on the show, right, about the importance of blending together asset categories that have a negative correlation, and doing so through passive management, because with active management, you may be trying to do asset allocation right, but the money manager at your mutual fund is doing something totally different, and you're therefore going to get a different result. This is why Dalbar shows in their research, their investor research, Dalbar being an independent research group, one of the things they show is that the average investor gets about 1/3 of what they would with a passive strategy, okay? In other words, what the market itself would provide over the same periods. So this is one of those areas, again, understanding these things. A lot of people are trying to do it on their own, and that's fine, but you know where to look. My book, by the way, is one of the areas where how the smart money invests, where we get into that. Or come in and see me and I'll show you how we can apply those and do an investment analysis and show you how you can use these principles to get the desired rate of return, okay, from the market needed. And that's what the other part, like I said, is determining what's that needed rate of return to accomplish your financial goals, as opposed to maybe, you know, just saying, I need to get as much as I can and taking on so much risk that you can, in fact, have it backfire against you. All right. Here's another startling statistic. The majority of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. This is crazy, right? When it comes to saving money, Americans have gone from bad to worse, okay, according to the latest Go Banking Rate Survey. In 2015, Go Banking Rate surveyed more than 5,000 adults and found that 62% have less than $1,000 in savings, and 28% reported having no savings at all. All right, this year those numbers have jumped. Now at 69% have less than $1,000 and 34% have a savings account balance of zero. All right, so think about that. It's gone up by about 10 to 20% in terms of how much worse off people are financially than they were when that survey was first taken just a few short years ago. So what our survey found is extremely shocking, because it shows that the majority of Americans are just one emergency expense away from being broke. Okay, and in fact, potentially being bankrupt. All right, among the study's finding, 40% of Americans making $100,000 a year, $100,000 plus a year, in fact, have less than $1,000 in savings. Wow, right? They're making 40% of Americans who are making over 100 grand a year and have less than 1,000 saved. Women are more likely than men to have zero saved. We talked about that and some of the reasons for it. 42% have nothing saved versus 28% of men. Millennials aged 25 to 34 are more likely than Gen Xers aged 45 to 54 to have 1,000 or more in savings. Isn't that interesting that the younger people are getting it, right? Well, one of the reasons in talking to younger people is that they're more concerned about Social Security not being there, and they're therefore more motivated about saving. All right, women are more likely than men to have zero. I mentioned that. Okay, these 5 southern states have the highest percentage of residents with zero in savings: Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas. So I guess we here in Tennessee are at least doing a little bit better than that. 62% of seniors aged 65 and up have less than 1,000 in savings, with 1 in 3 having no savings at all. Now here's something else to take from this, all right? As I'm going through these statistics and I'm sharing with you the dire needs of others, okay, and their situations, this ability, you know, this lack of money, even when they're making a lot, not saving a lot. Half of Americans are also in debt. So paying off debt, #1 source of financial stress in the U.S. today, according to Go Banking Rate, which surveyed nearly 3,000 adults asking about mortgage, credit card, student loan, and medical debts. The median debt for 49% of those who owe money is about $38,850. Mortgage loan debt was the largest category debt, with 39% of Americans reporting they owe money on a mortgage. Okay, so that's almost 4 out of 10. Mortgage loan debt about $59,500. However, the median mortgage debt for women is $74,000. Again, much higher than that for men. Credit card debt, and again, we've covered a lot of these reasons. Credit card debt was the second largest category at 38%. Median credit card debt of $2,000. Almost half of adults earning $100,000 to $150,000 a year have credit card debt. Not able to live on what they make, even making $100,000 to $150,000 a year. This is so important to learn how to save. Pay yourself first. Put money into that 401k, IRA, whatever it is that you have available, or just save it. Just put it in an investment account of your own making. Auto loans was another one, with 38% saying they are paying on a vehicle loan. The median auto loan debt is about $8,000. So again, a lot of debt. Student loan debt, by the way, is another one, a big one. Women reporting having twice as much student loan debt as men, by the way. Finally, 21% of Americans reporting having debt related to medical expenses, and again, that debt being a median around $600. So we're seeing more and more debt. What else are we seeing then? What is all this saying? We're seeing a lot of debt. We're seeing a lot of concerns about expenses, not a lot saved. People are not prepared for retirement, right? And what does that mean potentially in terms of the impact on our system? Because here's something for it. Let's say you planned well, you've saved well, you've got, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm going to be okay in retirement, or at least I think I am, right? I may need a little planning to make sure, but I think I'm going to be okay. But what about these, what's going to happen with regard to taxes? If we have a lot of people, with all the percentage of people that are not okay, that have a lot of debt, that don't have, are not going to have the pensions and stuff at retirement, they're not going to be able to afford the health care expenses that are going to be needed, where's that money going to come from? All right? Who's going to pay for that? So this is where, might want to think about this one a little bit. Might it impact our taxes in the future? What other ways might it impact our lives if we have this many Americans that are in trouble financially? How might it affect those that have planned well? Okay, what might it do with regard to the rules with regard to Social Security as an example? Maybe those who are making more or have saved, might they have to pay higher premiums for their Medicare? May they definitely would be paying taxes on those Social Security benefits, possibly even higher taxes. All right, so planning is real important. If you've done well so far as saving and preparing, all the more to make sure that money lasts is to plan, all right, for those potentialities of higher taxes, inflation, and what impact we may have in trying to help our fellow Americans. The majority of Americans, and this is another statistic, that plan to work during retirement, 70% of retired Americans plan to work as long as possible during retirement. Only 25% say they have no plans to work during retirement. And of those 25%, we're going to find that that doesn't mean they're prepared, they just think they're not going to need to, right? Of those who plan to work as long as possible during retirement, 38% are planning to work because they like to work. And now that's the one we like. We like that. When I look at a Warren Buffett or a John Bogle or some other, big names that are out there in the, like Munger and others that are, that we see in the news and that are, extremely successful, wealthy individuals, and they're in their 80s and they're still showing up to work every day because they love what they do and are able to make a difference in terms of what they do. So, that's what we want to see. If you're working, it's because you've got that drive and desire to do it because you're doing something you really enjoy. All right. 35% say they plan to work because they need the money. 27% said both. Okay, I like it and I need the money, so I'm going to do it that way. Early retirement is no longer the goal it once was. Just 13% of non-retired Americans hope to retire in their 50s. Okay, a very small percentage, down from 27% in 07. Think about that. So over the last 10 years, it's half as many people who are non-retired, who plan to retire in their 50s. Okay. Additionally, Bankrate survey found that nearly half of retirees are either very worried or somewhat worried about outliving their retirement savings, and that is up by 37%, up from 37% in 2009. In other words, up about a third, though, in just the last 8 years. Working during retirement brings a lot of benefits, and this is one of the areas, again, I work with a lot of clients. Hundreds of clients, in fact. And with what I find with the clients that I work with, many of them do, in fact, want to work in retirement, but they're maybe changing careers. They find something they really enjoy, or something they maybe has been a hobby for them, and now they're going to turn it into a vocation. Others who do consulting, that cut back and maybe work half as many hours, but they still want to have that, they enjoy the work that they do and being around the people and the activities. Teachers, this is one of the things, bless them, this is one area where they really enjoy being around the younger people, and I've heard them many times, clients of mine that are teachers or professors at colleges that say, how it keeps them feeling young, continuing that kind of work. So there's all kinds of different examples of what people do. And sometimes it's also where they get into, people retire, and it's about being active. And so if they've got the financial, wherewithal, and they're able to, do whatever they want as far as retirement goes, sometimes it's about travel, sometimes it's about family, sometimes, about serving their community, about their churches, any number of things. So being active is a big part, and we are seeing more and more people working, and some because they have to. This is the other end of it, though. Extended work can lead to higher taxes. According to a study by Boston University and University of California, if the boomers are short on regular assets, short on retirement account assets, and short on defined benefit pensions, short on Social Security benefits, long on explicit employment, basically taxes are going to be higher. You're going to be paying taxes on Social Security. You're going to have, of course, taxes on they're working. So if you look at the study and what it's showing, here's the other end of that. We're still making more. So even though you may face tax, they're saying tax disincentives, the reality is it's more about we still get to keep more than we pay in taxes. So it's finding what you like. If you can make that extra money, it's going to be a benefit, and then using your Social Security strategies and how you claim and how you use those benefits in terms of tax planning and the like can help minimize that. This is, again, an area where planning can be a big benefit to you as you work on into retirement. Okay, we're going to get into this a little bit more. We got about 4 more to cover before we end today, 4 or 5. So join me here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.